I always think when Mother's Day comes, what am I going to say to a whole group of people who all have varying different relationships with their mothers? You know, some people obviously adore their mothers, and everybody feels indebted to their mothers in some ways, but then some people have complicated relationships with their mothers, and so it can be hard to know, what do you say to a whole group of people at the same time that doesn't, on one hand, sound so flowery and unreal to a lot of people, doesn't make somebody feel bad because they didn't have a mother that was that great, doesn't make all the mothers who are out there feel terrible because they can never live up to that, because being a mother is practically an impossible task. So what do you say on Mother's Day? I wanted to say something because I think sometimes we err on the side of not saying anything because it's such a daunting task. But today I want to say something to mothers, about mothers, because mothers in general are incredible. Are they not? Mothers will stay up all night with you. Mothers will go without so that their children can have what they need. Mothers will do thankless tasks, and they'll forgo their own advancement sometimes in order to see to it that their children have what's best. And some mothers will even give away their children for the good of that child. Now, I'm particularly indebted to 3 mothers. Really probably more than that, but 3 in particular I want to highlight today. My own mom, who embodies all of the things that I've just said. She was a single mom from the time that I was 11 years old, raising me and my brother. No easy task, I will tell you. And she raised us to know who we are and what was important. And she raised us to care about other people. We didn't always do what we were supposed to do, but we always knew what we were supposed to do. And we knew the difference between right and wrong. She made sure of that. I can tell you something about me. I've mentioned this before, that I was never a really great athlete, but I always wanted to be involved in sports. And so I always played various sports, and my mom made a point of coming to every single game or wrestling match or gymnastics meet or whatever I happen to be into. And let me just say a word about my illustrious football career. Because I grew up in Chicago, where it's quite cold during football season, very cold, often, certainly by the end of the season. And when I was a freshman in high school, I was on the freshman B team for the high school. So, what that means is that the B team, we didn't even get the regular field. The A team got the regular field, and the B team played over on some grassy lot with no stands or anything. And my mom would be standing out there in the freezing cold Chicago winter, watching the game, standing up on the sidelines with some other devoted parents. But she always showed up. And she always believed in me. And always made me know that she loved me. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. My mom's actually here today, so it's very meaningful to say that. And then there's also my wife, Anitra, the mother of my children, who is one of the most devoted moms that I've ever known, who has been to hell with me and back as a parent, and who has so much love in her that she almost overwhelms herself with it sometimes, and all the expectations that we put upon ourselves to be great parents and to do the right things. And we're in such uncharted territory now with all of the internet and screens and phones and iPads and all the things that we don't even know anymore, it seems like, what to do as parents sometimes and how to do it. If you ever seen the bookshelves for parenting, If you ever gone to a book, if anyone goes to bookstores anymore, the number of books on how to be a gluten-free parent, how to raise fiscally responsible children, and there are so many books, and I'm sure that they're great books, but it's hard to even know what to do and what's the right thing to do, and we're not the first generation to have an uncharted path before us. But I'll tell you, it used to be that people had children and they were economically a help to the family. They worked either on the farm or maybe even in a factory, but now we work for them. So things have changed, and we're figuring it out. But I'm deeply blessed and thankful to my wife for, first of all, putting up with my crazy schedule and sticking with me through my crazy ideas about what it means to be a parent and all those other things. And I'm blessed. I'm really blessed. Then the third mother came into my life when my wife and I wanted to have another child, but we couldn't. And this mom chose us to raise her little girl, who was still in her womb at the time that she chose us for this very important role. We've been so blessed by the addition of our daughter Lila into our lives. And I'll always be grateful for her birth mother, who gave us this priceless gift. We have an open adoption, which means that we share photographs and phone calls, and once a year we go to visit Lila's birth family. And she has some half siblings and aunts and uncles and a grandmother, great grandmother, and just an amazingly large family. And they have welcomed us into their world. It took a little while, the first year or two, but they've welcomed us into their world and their family like we've been there all along. And for those who don't know, our daughter Lila is African American, and so there's also some cultural things, and it's just been amazing that this family has just welcomed these three white folks who come in and visit every year and just treat us so well. Now, her half siblings call Elias, our biological son, their brother. And when we go there, he's like a little drop of milk in an ocean of coffee. And yet he's been embraced, and he fits right in, and it's lovely. But it begs the question, who is your real family? Who are our real parents? Who are our real mothers? And this idea of giving away your child for the best of the child reminds me of that great story from the Hebrew Scriptures of King Solomon, who one day two women come to him and they have a baby, and they both say it's their baby, and nobody knows. And so they're asking him as the king to decide whose baby it is. And each one makes her case, and he has to decide who's the real mother. And he can't decide who's the real mother. How does he know? But he has an idea, and he calls for his sword, and he gets his sword, and he says, I know, I'll cut the baby in half, and you can each have half. And one woman says, no, forget it, here, she can have them. And the other woman says, fine, do it. If I can't have this baby, I don't want anyone to have it. And he knew instantly who the real mother was. It was the one who was willing to give the baby away so that that baby could be safe and could be loved. It's something that a mother's love is so strong sometimes that it will even give away her own child if she believes it's best for her. But in reality, all mothers and all parents have to give away their children eventually as they grow up, and especially as they get married. I just performed a wedding last night, and when I do, I'm always sort of struck by the fact that this was a very traditional wedding, and in the traditional wedding, the bride's family gives away the bride and makes it real clear that she is now part of your family. But a wise person said to me recently, the groom's family should do the same thing. to acknowledge that they too have to give away their child to this new family as the primary family and primary commitment of that child. It's hard to do, but if we don't give away our children in that way so that they can have that primary relationship as central, then we do harm to our own children. And we're hurting then our now adult child, their ability to be in relationship and to be the spouse and to be the parent who they need to be. As the writer Kahlil Gibran says in his book, The Prophet, about children, you are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. We as parents are just the bows, and we can't hold on to the child forever. But if the bow does not release the arrow, then it cannot fly. Let us give thanks today and every day for all mothers, those who held us with their arms and with their dreams, and the ones who knew when to let go so that we could fly. Let us forgive all the mothers for any stumbles or mistakes that they may have made, remembering that to forgive is not so much something we do for the other person, but something we do to set ourselves free. And let us be a community that upholds the mothers in our midst with deep gratitude, gives them the support they need to be a mother in this day and age, in this world of ours, a seemingly impossible task sometimes. Today we honor the mothers who gave us their blood and their breath, and who housed us in the flesh of their bodies, and the ones who loved us and always will. Happy Mother's Day. I love you. Amen.